That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to start the recording. And so for the Ferris wheel project, this is what you're trying to create. I'm going to share my computer screen with you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so can you see my computer screen?
Yeah, it's loading.
Okay.
Okay, I can see it.
Okay. So when you watched the video for the overview of the project,
Uh-huh.
the part that you're interested in, or it looks like you've already done this, where you've actually signed up for the video.
Uh-huh.
And did you go through and you've already watched about the Google Sheets and hyperlinking?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay. So you have all this information already all set.
Uh-huh.
Let me see if I can make this bigger on my, use the link. Okay. So going up to here, it looks like it's just telling you where to get to the stuff. And this is where you're going to find the organizer, which you already did. So it looks to me like this is the part that you have completed. So you have, what you don't have is the Google Sheet done. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Google Sheet is the part I needed the help with.
Okay. So you want to use this information here. The number
Uh-huh.
of cabins, the diameter, the height, the circumference, um, the radius, etc.
Uh-huh.
So let me escape out of this for a second. And this is your sheet right here, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have another document. Let me see if I wish you could like open recent. Yeah. This is an example. This might help you a little bit. So what you're putting in your Google Sheets are these pieces of information. So over here, you want to put your increments of time. So remember, you have to go through 3 rotations of time, but the first one, how long does it take to get through your one rotation on your Ferris wheel?
I think it was 15 minutes. Yeah,
15
15
minutes.
minutes.
Okay. So on this sheet here, what you would want to do is, let me just know how much is on this sheet here. Okay. Let's see, can I? Because I'll send you this sheet. But
Okay.
what you want to do here is you're going to start off at 0 minutes, and then you're going to go up to 15 minutes. But
Okay.
but since you have to do 3 rotations, 0 to 15 minutes is only going to get you 1 rotation,
Yeah, so I
correct?
did 0, 5, 10, 15.
Right, but that again will only get you 1 rotation. So
Oh, okay.
so
I see.
since you want 3 rotations,
So I do 15, 30, and 45.
right, exactly. So, but like you said a second ago, you can't just do 0 and then 15 or whatever. You have to have a bunch of minutes in between.
Okay.
And you may decide, oh, I don't know what I just did. Sorry about that. What, did I just close the sheet on accident? Sorry, I was rumbling through a bag.
Yeah, you look like you got a lot of tabs open.
I do, and I can't close them because I haven't saved anything, but let me just open that another one. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
Um, File, open, recent. Nope. Here we go. So it's this part that you're really interested in because that's what all the different tabs on your sheet are going to be at the top.
Okay.
So for the time, we're going to start off with, like you said, 0, and then you're going to have time, whatever, 15. Then
Okay.
time, 30. And you're going to have a bunch of these because in a Google Sheet, that's the only thing you're hard coding, so it's not a problem, correct?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, do you remember how I showed you in the video to get, you take the time times the angle of rotation, but the angle of rotation needs to be in radians. So you always want to include 1 minute because, first of all, at 0 minutes, the angle of rotation is 0, correct?
Yeah.
Because you haven't moved. For 1 minute, to figure out the time, what you want to do is you have to take 360. Oh, now I'm having to remember. Hang on 1 second. So I haven't done it in a while. Go back to the video. It's not the video. Okay. Maybe I don't have a tab open. I must have shut a bunch of stuff down there. Anyways, do you remember how you figure out the angle of rotation? Because if it's
No, I don't.
360 degrees, you divided it by the time for 1 minute to figure out how many degrees you'd go in 1 minute.
Okay.
So if it takes you 360 degrees, you go, you can do that in 15 minutes. So if you take 360 and divide by 15, then what does that give you?
360 divided by 15.
Mm-hmm.
24.
So in 1 minute, you're going to go 24 degrees.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
In 1 minute?
Yes, you're going to go 24 degrees.
So then how would I do 2 minutes or like 15
So you
minutes? Would
take the time times the angle of rotation. So if 1 minute you go 24 degrees, how many degrees would you go in 3 minutes? And we know that in 15 minutes you're going to go 360 degrees.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. But how?
So how would I figure out at 3 minutes? Remember, for every 1 minute you're going to go 24 degrees. So how far would you go, let's say, in 2 minutes?
Um. Oh, would I just multiply 24 times 2?
Right. So what would that
Okay.
be?
48.
48. And then so on and so forth, correct? So if it said 10 minutes, then you'd go 240 degrees.
Okay.
Okay? Now, here it says the angle determined by the quadrant. All you're doing here is you're converting it to radians, which shows you in the video how to convert that to radians. And I'll go over this with you in a second. But do you understand how I'm getting this column here first, the time?
Yeah, but then for 30 and 45, would that also be 360 or would that
It'll
be
be more than 360. So
okay,
for
so like
30 minutes, you've gone around 2 times, so that's
so it'd be 360
720.
times 2. Okay.
Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I
And
just
then
wanted
for
to
20
confirm
minutes, that would be 480 degrees, etc.
that. Okay.
Okay. So then you convert your angle to radians, and that's just actually an operation in Google Sheets, and we'll go over that in a second. Then you have the fourth column, which is what you figure out your vertical leg. So you take, and this is just an operation in the Google Sheet, you take the cosine of whatever this angle is, in this case it would still be 0, and you
Mhm.
multiply it by the radius. So what was the radius for your Ferris wheel?
Um, let's see. Sorry,
That's,
I gotta open this up.
that's fine. I think I've already closed it. So
Yeah, I had it opened up on my other one, but I had switched to Safari. Let's see.
just tell me when you have it open. While you're doing that, I'm pulling up a Google Sheet.
Okay. The radius, does it matter if it's in meters or feet? Because I just put the conversions for both.
As long as you're consistent, it doesn't matter. It's just
Okay,
whatever
I'll
you
just do feet because that's like easier for me to like understand, I guess. So it's 164 feet.
is the radius.
Um, yeah, the radius is 164 feet.
Okay, so cosine of 0 happens to be 0. So when you multiply 0 times 164, it still equals 0. So then
Okay.
you take your radius, which is 164, and you subtract the vertical leg, which is 0, and then you add the platform height, which is, what was your platform height?
Let me check. The platform height was 41 feet.
And that gives you the height of the rider. This actually should turn out to be 0. So I'll check this. What's the cosine of 0 degrees is actually 1 time. Oh, this should be 1 times that. Okay, anyways. All right, so that's the idea. We're going to use these formulas up here. So when we get our Google Sheet, and I'll just show you one that's, I think I have one. That's what I was pulling up before was,
Wait, so for the example that you just did for the vertical leg and the rider height, was that for 1 minute or 0 minutes? It was
0.
0 minutes,
0
right?
minutes.
In the wrong spot.
Okay, so here's a good example where it's all filled out. So here's the angle. So you take, it's actually just the vertical leg is just the cosine of that angle.
Okay.
Okay, times the radius. So in this case, the radius is 56. Okay, as you can see, and your platform height. What's the center? Where's my platform height? There's my diameter. There's my radius. Must have a. Give me 1 second. I'm looking for where I have my platform height listed up here.
Okay.
Observation wheel has a height of 135. That includes 23. Here it is right here. 23 meter loading height. Okay. So what we just did were these first three parts. Here's your time, here's your angle of rotation, and remember you figure out your angle of rotation by figuring out how far you would go in 1 minute. And then you
Okay.
take all those angles of rotation and you multiply it by the number of minutes times that. So you can see down here, this takes 30 minutes to rotate around one time. So at 30 minutes, you've gone 360 degrees.
Okay.
All right. So this we're going to change a little bit because we're simply going to do the radiant value of the angle. But over here, you take the radius times the cosine of whatever that angle is. So our radius in this problem is 56 times the cosine of 0 is equal to 56. That's what it is. All right, so let's first of all, let's start off by, let me get a clean sheet of paper.
So the rider height.
Let me pull up your paper again
Okay. So
first.
for my rider height for 0 minutes, would it be 205?
No, it should be, I calculated that wrong the last time. It should
Okay.
be whatever your platform height is, because you're only as high as the platform right there.
Okay. So 41 feet. Okay.
Right. So I'm going to actually write on your sheet here. So, okay, so let me pull this down a little bit where we can see all the information. So the first thing that you want to do is calculate all of your times. Now, you are basing your times on the fact that it takes you 15 minutes to go all the way around. So the first column is your time, and so you're going to do from 0. You always want to include the number 1. And then you want to include like a few times in between that and 15. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, whatever. I've got 4 different times in between. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to do 4 more times, and then it'll be 30, etc.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how we get that into the Google Sheet first. So when you pull up your Google Sheet, your first label is time. Your first label is time.
Okay.
And then this is the only column where you actually like hard code those values in. And you're going to go all the way down and you're going to eventually hit 30 and then you're going to go all the way down and do 45. And I've had students do it both ways where they kind of enter every single minute. Other people just want to enter like some of the
Yeah,
minutes,
I'll just enter.
etc.
Does it matter? Could I just enter like anything?
You can. You want to have enough points though so that it's not
Yeah,
too
yeah.
few. And
Okay.
then I talked a little bit about, make sure you use some color, do it, in the middle, that kind of stuff. So any question about the time?
No.
Okay. So then the next column that you want to create, what do I got here? Cross that out. So the next column that you create is what we call the rotation. So in your Google Sheet, you're going to do the rotation, okay?
Okay.
And your rotation, the first rotation that you have to figure out, and what you do here is you got to use a formula. So it's equals, and then you take 360 divided by 15, because that's how many degrees are in 1 minute. Does that make sense? 360 divided by 15?
Isn't it for 0 minutes though?
Wait, just wait. First,
Okay.
okay, and then times, and then you do A2 because that's where my time is. So the 360 divided by 15, that represents how much you would go in 1 minute, times A2, because the cell right here is column A, cell 2.
Okay.
Now all you do is you do copy, and then you paste this all the way down. And what this does is it then calculates it for you,
So it's 360 divided by 15.
because that's what gives you 1 minute.
Okay, times A2.
Right. And then when you copy and paste, it'll change the cell
Yeah.
value. You know, okay?
Okay.
So that's the second thing that you need to do. So any questions about either one of those columns?
No.
All right, so then the next column, you actually have to take this angle here and convert it to radians. So this is the angle in radians, because your Google Sheet will only work in radians.
Okay.
So again, you put an equal sign, and you start typing the word radians. And when you start typing the word radians, you'll notice that the fourth choice down is convert angle measurements to radians. Okay. And then you type in that A2 again, because that's the cell, or no, this time it's B2. I'm sorry, B2.
I'm typing that and it's not working.
Okay, well, you'll have this video to go back and look at this section.
Okay.
And then you copy and then paste it all the way down. And that will convert your angle to radians. And somehow I got a 0 after that, but.
So, do I need to type anything in besides radians and then it just does it?
Right. You start by typing the equal and just type the word radians and it'll pop up the operation.
Okay.
All right, so the next one, so any questions about that column?
No. So I then wait, so for 0 minutes I would type in 0 for the
You don't type in 0, you're using the cell. So this is B2. And this is B3, B4. It'll automatically change it as you cut and paste it down.
So I have like the radians and then it says angles, so what do I type in?
B2.
B2 and then it just does it
All
automatically?
right, watch me. Don't type. Like you should not be typing. You should just be watching. Are you ready? Equals radians. See the word radians pops up.
Yeah.
B2, because that's where my angle measurement is, and then I hit enter.
Okay.
All right, you can't, if you do your sheet now, we'll be here all, it'll take a little bit too long. I want you to just watch now, okay? That's why I'm recording it, and then you can go ahead and look at it again.
Okay.
All right, so then the next one is, this is your vertical leg. So it's your radius times the cosine of this angle. So watch how I do that. So equals again, well this is your vertical leg, vertical leg. So this will be equals, and then what was the radius for your Ferris wheel?
164 feet.
164, and then notice I say times, and then start typing the word cosine. And cosine comes up, and now my angle is in C2. And then I cut and paste. Your radius was 162?
My radius 164.
164, okay, yes. All right.
So I do 164 times cosine?
Cosine, and then everything in C2.
Okay.
And then after the vertical leg, now what the last column is giving you the height of the rider. This is the one,
Mhm.
this tells you how high the rider is. So this is your
Okay.
rider height. Okay?
Yeah.
Your rider height is equal to, and then the formula for your rider height is the radius minus the vertical leg plus the platform. So what happens here, if I take the radius, and we said our radius was 164,
Mhm.
minus D2, because that's where my rider height is, and then close parentheses, plus, what's your platform height?
41 feet.
41. So that's how high the rider is. So when the person gets on the ride at 0 minutes, they haven't rotated any degrees,
Uh-huh.
and their height is 41.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I
And
do
then
one.
and then you just keep copying and pasting. You
So
know,
I do 164 minus D2
right. That's
plus
your
41.
radius. So let me go back to this sheet and fix these formulas up, or yeah, because I wrap my head around this better. Okay, the only thing that's not included, this column here is radians, so that's just a value that's actually in the Google Sheet.
Okay.
So here you're taking the cosine, of that angle in radians and then multiplying it by the radius. In your case, it's 164. So this
Mhm.
would equal 164 because the cosine of 0 is actually 1.
Okay.
And then here you have the radius, which is 164, minus this value, which is also 164, plus your platform height, which is 41. So that's 41. So in words, this is what you're looking for.
Okay.
And that's how you would create all your values in your Google Sheet.
Okay.
And then once you had all those values in your Google Sheet, I don't know if I have any of my, I should have some of my, and I have no idea if this person's project is a great one or not, but, so, oh, that's just the list. Let's see, projects. Here's my student sample. So here you have all your information that's kind of filled out. You have your
Mhm.
image. My image is having a hard time coming up. But here's where, oh, actually, there we go. And then here's where your hyperlink is.
Okay, so I have to put that into the.
Right, you hyperlink your Google Sheet. And then when you get to your Google Sheet, see how I've got all my values there? There's
Yeah.
my time, rotation, vertical and radiance, vertical height, rider height. It's still filling out because you also then have a graph. And there's your graph.
Okay, so the graph automatically comes up, or?
Well, you've got to create the graph. So you do insert, and then you insert a graph.
Okay, and it just makes it itself
It
from the data.
using the time and the rider's height.
Okay.
And so to insert a graph, you do insert chart. and then it'll give you some choices of what kind to use.
Mhm.
And so you pick, this is, your rider height and time. And then, it says time down here, rider height. And then it tells you I'm using column A1 and E52. And that's
Okay.
because A1 is where my time is, and E is where and this will tell you what you want to put in there. But
Yeah.
you want to use your rider height and your time.
Okay.
And that's how you put that in there. So when you look at your Google Doc, your Google Doc, you've got all your information like you've already done. You have your picture, and then you link it to the sheet.
Okay.
And then you do know how to submit the assignment in Blackboard, correct?
No, I do not.
Well, okay. So, all right. When you go to content,
Oh, just to submit it in
just to
general?
submit it,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I know how to do that. I just didn't know what you meant by Blackboard.
Oh, this is Blackboard, your
Okay.
platform that you work in.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, I know how to do
So when
that.
you're in the project, and you actually get down to the project itself, it lets you browse your computer to submit. Don't do it under
Yeah,
text, but you browse the
yeah,
computer
yeah, yeah, I
assignments
know how to
measurement.
do that.
Okay. All right. So anything else?
No, that's it. I should be good.
Okay, did that help?
Yeah, it definitely helped because I was just a little confused. The video was pretty long and I was just kind of like scatterbrained after I watched it.
Well, you may want to
But
watch that video again
yeah,
because I
just
think it's going to be more comprehensive than this one,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
just let me
exactly.
know.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking your time out to help me on this.
No problem. No, I hope it made sense.
Yeah, it did for sure.